It never seems to fill. Everything breaks right at the last moment, but that's how it goes.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Wow, everybody seems super loud tonight. I hope it's good. Can you all hear me out there at 27085?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well that is a good thing. The old, as they say, the old tired tube radio network here in Central California, city of Fresno. We call it the Old Tube Radio Network. It is here on Channel 11, 27085, if you are indeed trying to tune in locally. Otherwise, you might be watching or listening in at oldtuberadio.net, where there is a link for some type of video, which may or may not be happening. And just say hello. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers to sit in the air chair of the Old Tube Radio Network, something that happens on most Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time since about 1986 here on your Class D citizen band radio service, where our purpose is to promote the use and distribute information about old tube radios from the Class D citizen radio service, which was from about 1958 to 1978. Of course, the radio band is still going on. It's just the tube radios are few and far between. But here we are. And before I get started, we need to, they're telling me I need to pick a new 00. So let me do that. I actually have the jar of people who had perfect attendance in the last 8 weeks. I'm going to pull one out of the can here, and that person will hopefully want to be the person. Okay, I have one. Okay. I haven't. Okay, I'm out of hands here. Here we go. I didn't want to drop the number. It is SWL 11, and that is that Dapper Dan or is that Dan? I think that's Dan. That's Mr. Cornbread Dan, SWL 11. And he's probably listening in somewhere, so I will mark that in to my tricky list here, and we will continue to go on. So if 11 is out there, I'm looking, I can't say, but everything's scrolled away, but I will find it out. In the meantime, let me see if there's anybody that needs an early check-in before we get ripping and roaring here on the Old Tube Radio Network listening.
24 checking in.
Joseph, I hear it. 24 is in. All right, 650 is an item.
Hello, Dennis.
Hello, radio. All right, my receiver went dead there for a second. I think I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, B53 checking in early there, Dennis, and 73 is my brother.
All right, Bob, I got you 53. I've also got the other Robert out in Reedley, SWL 111. And we will get going here. I want to get SWL number 1 checked in, and I'm looking for Mr. OBP. He may not have jumped into the video screen just yet. I've got a proxy check in. Boy, this mouse is even worse than the other one. I've got a proxy check in for SWL3 Rob, and we'll say hello to Mr. Rainmaker Levon, who I believe is out there watching and listening. Let's go up to SWL7. Somebody said put a proxy in for 7 if he's not there, and I will do that. Then we go to, let's try SWL9, Dirt Dog, way out there in Sangertown. Dirt Dog, over.
This is Dirt Dog 982, checking in.
Dirt Dog 982 sounding perfectly loud tonight, sounding great on the old Tube Radio Network, and we've got the big number on the screen with a check mark right there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks for stopping by. Dirt Dog, sounding good here. 982 from Sanger to Midtown. Good to have you along. Let's go to SWL10. I do see that northern Idaho is out there. Good weather, bad weather, whatever. It's good to have you along. SWL checking in. We've got SWL 10 and 30, the combination, the 2-for-1 here. Thanks, guys. I don't know. We haven't heard much skip going on, but keep the radios handy because we may be talking to you. Next is SWL 11 and SWL 12. That's Dan and Dan. That's Cornbread and Dapper Dan 11. He doesn't know it yet, but he's in the 00 spot. Did you know that, Cornbread? Did someone say 00? Yeah, that's you. Over. And Dapper Dan, looking more dapper than me. I had to kind of crawl under the table here right at the last minute and fix an issue like I always do. And they're saying my tie's not straight. That's the least of my worries right now. SWL 13. I'm looking at my big radio screen here over on computer number 2. And there is 13. He's checking in moments ago. All right, Mikey, I got you. Mr. Cobra's in. Let's head out back out to Sangertown for SWL 14.
Hey, howdy, Dennis. SWL 14 checking in.
Sounding good. That's a good station tonight. My noise level seems to be a little bit lower than it usually is, so that's a good thing. We've got an X in the square.
Oh, thank you much, and you're sounding real nice and clear out here in Sanger tonight as well.
All right, I'm just getting everybody marked in. Let me click the button. If I click the right button, it should say that you are checked in. Even if I don't click it, it'll say you are checked in. Looking good. SWL 15. I have not been looking at my screen rolling up here, which I will do in a little bit. And I did a hit and run over on old Radio Night where he had some as usual a nice radio up there. We will jump over there in just a little minute or two and see what's going on. While Neil is here, 147, let me get Neil checked in before he scrolls off my screen. He's got to hit the lights early tonight. Conditions in and out this afternoon. The window opens in a few moments. Our skip was very low. I noticed the sunspot numbers were no longer in triple digits. So I don't know if that's part of it or not, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't get some short skip. So keep your radios tuned in. And Neil out there in Fayetteville. In the Sand Hills, we've got you checked in 147. And then right behind the screen here, over to SWL 16. I'll put the X in the square if I can make it work. There it goes. It takes a while. We have, it must be the tubes. We have the slowest computer in the West here, the old Tube Radio Network. Charlie out there in Anoka, Minnesota, and various other places yet to be determined. And see your check in there. Let's go to SWL 17. Hello, Eric, if you're out there. And out there in Palm Springs, UDX 4570 doing that. Is this on? Yeah, I think it's on. It looked like you're putting out some RF or something. I've got a check-in for SWL 18 from the Universal Media NetWeb. And as usual, right over there with the cue cards, SWL 19 Chet is in. And everything is... How's it going? He says, I have my water. That's good. Do we have a pen this week? No pen this week. We had a new one. Maybe I still have it in my pocket. We'll put... I'll check it in again. We can't do it once. It's like reruns. Let's go over to, and I've got to check in for this guy if he's not at the microphone. He SWL 20. I think he is listening in as one of the unknown SWL. So, Harvey, I've got you checked in, but I know you said you are going to probably be in late, possibly get in a radio, and then go to bed. So we've got you checked in now, and we'll pick you up when you get into the item. Let's see, did I miss 15? SWL 15 Hans. For some reason, I don't remember checking you in, probably because I didn't. So let's get you checked in right now because I see you scrolling by my screen. Where it is, we should say good morning from cold Copenhagen. All right, well, it's about that time, right? It's cold all over, I think. So Alpha 173, we got the X and the square things there. You know what, let me see. I'm going to jump in on the link up. And I'm not sure if they're still going or not on the reverse preamp. Let me see what's happening here. I'm going to bring the audio up. Does it say it's still live? I think it's not live anymore.
Someone just died, right?
Wire.
Uh-oh.
Or you can use this as your
let me pump this in. He's got a circuit board in his hand here. I wonder if something blew up at the end of the program here.
I've got another one somewhere. I don't know where it is.
There's the radio. It's the Lafayette Telsat SSB 140. Really nice looking radio.
Eric.
Looking to see what's going on there.
Eric DeZant. That guy was a brilliant man. I was trying to modify this circuit right here to work on something, and he got on the internet and on YouTube.
This is JT from Old Radio 9.
Showed me what to change.
All right, okay, the stream did end it. All right, thanks for tuning in. I missed them by 9 minutes. That's what happens when you start late. Anyway, we got 21 checked in. And if you get a chance, head on over to YouTube for the Lafayette Telstat SSB 140 Palomar 350Z reverse preamp range boost microphone CB radio sideband for 11125. Get the replay of the show if you didn't get it live. All right, back here on the West Coast. What do they say in Skipland? The West Coast of California, the old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL 22. And they're saying my number's lagging behind. Well, we got 21. We're looking for 22. How about 23? 23 Skidoo, is he chasing Espresso Trucking Company around tonight? They said they might be here for the break, to give us the break between the SWLs and the radios, but I haven't seen them yet. We will keep our fingers uncrossed, maybe. SWL 24, Joseph checked in early. SWL 25.
SWL 25 checking in, Dennis. I didn't know if this thing was going to blow up or anyway, hopefully it's working. Back to you.
No, it works quite well. He just kind of popped out of my unnoise level, sounding good, and you're probably just waiting for me to finally get to that number. Over.
Well, it's been a while since I've fired this old Browning up, and I didn't know what to expect. I think maybe this spring I should maybe take the air hose to it because it's pretty dusty. But anyway, it seems to still be working. So anyway, Dennis, good to hear you, man, and thanks for checking me in.
Yeah, I hear you. Sounds good. Good signal. It is, I don't think you have to do too much. I know occasionally I'll do that to Bozo Control. We'll take out the air hose and kind of dust things off and put a little air where it needs to go. But you won't need to do that with the Browning. It's sounding most excellent. Over.
All right, Dennis. Good to hear from you too, my friend, and Happy New Year to you. And you might as well check in 74 when the time comes. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, and hopefully hear you on Wednesday nights. Talk to you later. SWR 25. Back to you.
All right, 25 and 74. I've been working late on Wednesdays. I've been missing the net. I've been working late on Fridays, missing the net. So, what is that? The Mark III? I'll put it down on the list when we get to the list as a check-in because it's sounding good. That must be the big Mark III.
Thank you, Dennis, and hello to the rest of the SWOs, including Chris. I heard Chris earlier. It's been a long time. So, anyway, miss my old buddies. Back to you, Dennis.
All right, thanks for stopping by. Radio is sounding good. We'll definitely get it checked in here on the Old Tube Radio Network. I'm going to turn the page. I want to go up and just say hello to those who are joining us on the video side. Some of you we will get to in a bit because I see you there. I want to make sure we have any early check-ins that I need to take care of. Ben Herseeby and Trucker Tips is out there listening in. And let's see, we missed the coast because I was a little too, I guess, too slow as here. Albert and the gang from BC, UDX 256 and the Squamish Boys waving. Before the net started, they were showing that if there was any skip happening, it was coming from Hawaii, which we heard, and right up where you guys are. But I checked the map, and that DX window has closed. So I was kind of hopeful that we might get something. Charlie Tango 351, hello. Jeremy, thanks for joining us here at the Old Tube Radio Network, Channel 11 in Central California. From Rockwood, Tennessee, where it's cloudy and, wow, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. If it was raining, it would be snowing for sure. Foxman 362, thanks for joining us. It's good to see the jumping Dolphins once again. Robert and Teresa, I see you. I will make sure you get checked in as 31. And Jeremy, where are you at? You're in northern Colorado. Keep a listen out on Channel 11. We often can get some conditions at the nighttime heading out your way with some of the big stations here. Old Tube Radio Network, looking to see who else is joining us this evening before we get back to the roll call. And Peter, thank you. Yeah, I was working on that. Peter says my voice sounds totally normal tonight. Sounds like yourself. We don't have the pitch shift thing going on. I don't know if I fixed something or if I just did do something wrong yet again. I see wild and windy Wildemar. Did you guys get the 80-mile-an-hour winds? I'll get you checked in there, Richard. And David. Oh wow! Thanks for the information on that. I was not watching much TV, but that is not great news at all. SWL28. Let me get you, Gary, since you're here. I'll go out of line one step for Gary, and he's at the crab feed for the local school. Tell us more about that on the crab feed. Let's go to SWL27. Are you out there, Dwayne?
Break OTR.
It's been a while since we've heard the Studio G checking in. The break OTR, go ahead, over.
Dennis, can I get an early check-in for 55, please?
55 can do. It's right on my list right there. I'll put the X in the square, and what do they say on that TV show? Make it so. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you.
Okay, this gated noise level is freaking me out. I keep thinking the receiver doesn't come back to life, but it actually does. I'm kind of going out of order here. So we did 27, 28. Let me check to see where the crab feed. Now, does that mean people are feeding on crabs or the crabs are feeding on something? At the crab feed for the local school. Well, say hello to the crabs for me. Let me get you officially on the check-in list here there, Gary. It's looking good. SWL 29 gets a proxy check-in, of course. 30 is already in, and likewise out there in Hendersonville, Tennessee, SWL 31. Robert and Teresa, thanks for joining us. And in Palm Springs, where they where they drive the 65 country squires to church once a month. Polish up that wood, the wood on the sides, right? And park it in there. And you've got to blow the carbon out of those things. The nice thing is in California, you do not have to smog You do not have to smog the 65 Country Squire, so if it belches out a little bit of smoke when you're in the parking lot, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, you can't get in trouble for that. Directing that roll call, if I'm on the right page, which I'm not. And now I am. Let's go to SWL32. Shortwave listener 33. That's myself, Bozo Control, and anybody else who wanders in the studio here and needs to check in. SWL 34, Jimmy and the gang. Thanks for all the... Oh, he's right there, Railroader, out there checking in. It's been a while since I've been jumping around on Facebook to see what's going on, but Jimmy makes sure that if you were to do that, it is there and ready to go for you. So looking good tonight. Thanks for joining us here on that old tired tube radio network. We're hoping to check in some old tired tube radios.
Break OTR.
The break OTR. Go ahead. Over.
Sorry to interrupt, Dennis. Can I get early check-in? Tony, Course Gold 145.
Yeah, not a problem. 145 up there in Course Gold. I'm hearing you good tonight. The radio is working, and we will get you checked in on the old tube radio network. Over.
Thank you, Dennis. Sorry for the interruption.
Hey, not a problem. I'm kind of going out of order all over the place here, so we'll get you in when we can, and that's right now. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. We'll go through the questions. I've got a couple of questions that Tony left in the mailbox, so we'll get to that at the end of the roll call here. See what kind of questions I cannot remember to do. Mr. Bill, SWL 35 from Red Monkey Communications in probably cold and snowy Cheyenne. I'm looking for you, but I'll get you a proxy check-in because I know you are out there, SWL 36. And I hope this guy's out there sitting by one of the radios tonight, SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, sounding good. A guy that's he's coming up on his 1 millionth check-in. I haven't really figured out if you checked in like 99% of the time throughout the year, and we had 99% of the nets, that means you'd be checking in 48 to 50 times a year, times almost 40 years. That would be a lot of check-ins out there. Anyway, you're sounding good, Chris, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Dennis.
Speaking about a guy that is checked in up there in the, not triple, quadruple, more than quadruple digits, SWL number 2. Jumping into the radio chair, OBP, I see you, and I've got the X in your square. Somebody had proxied you in, but there you are, live and direct. I wanted to say hello to, and I got to scroll back to. There we go. I got to scroll back to find it. 007 Extreme CB. Frank is in there. The 00 and the 7 is checking in from Jersey Shore. Over, under, and might back at you. Well, it's good. Thanks for joining us. Where's the logo? It's here somewhere. I think everything fell off the microphone, and now the rest of the there it is. There it is. That it's that guy right there. Check out what is it? ExtremeCB.com. 27.025. I've not been getting the YouTube videos from John from Motormouth Malls. He's still terrorizing Channel 6. I don't know. Back to the roll call such that it is when I can find the little scroll bar here. Directing that roll call, the old Tube Radio Network. Your radio is coming up shortly, so warm them up and stay tuned. Looking for shortwave listener SWL 38. And that is Sam out there in Byron. Maybe we get you checked in, Sam. I don't think we're going to get any relays tonight. Let's go to SWL 39. And from Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Yes, we do, because the Cowboy UDX 357 has found the way here to Central California and the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for joining us all the way from San Jose. Speaking of which, who's listening in tonight? Up in the balcony, Bowling Green, Kentucky. That could be Van Man. Ware Shoals, South Carolina. Edmonds, Washington. Middleton, Ohio. The unknown SWL. That's Harvey on his way back to the air chair, no doubt. Plymouth, Minnesota. Stations local in Fresno. Edmonton, Alberta. Squamish boys up there listening and hoping for some conditions. Hello to Sacramento, California. Belfast, Maine, and a host of others tuning into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Let's see if the radio station is still beaconing in. Hello, SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in. Yeah, it's probably still there. I got it. I got my mic gain minimized right now.
Yeah, if it's there, it's way, way down. I probably turn my volume up to maybe hear it, but it no longer sounds like you're in the party mode.
Yeah, obviously I still have some work to do.
All right, yeah, you built an antenna and you didn't even know it, but I didn't think you were that close. We used to have problems like that when we would do videotaping 30 and 40 years ago in the Dell Webb building, where the radio stations were 2 floors above us. We were underneath the towers. We would have big problems, but you're far enough away, so you built a pretty decent antenna there.
Yeah. I just don't understand how the audio comes in when it's FM. I don't know. Shouldn't that happen with AM?
Well, no, we used to have the same problem with our videotape recorders, where it would just come straight through. You'd see the VU meters moving on the deck. You're thinking, we don't have any microphones plugged in, and it was just the RF, the raw, sheer RF in the building just coming into the circuitry. And it would come in the audio like that. But again, we were right in the same building, so hard to say. All right.
On with the show.
On with the Old Tube Radio Network. I want to get to 41 checked in. Out in New York, Road Dog 507, of course, representing the Orange County REACT of Hudson Valley. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network. Uh-oh. Where's that coming from? Oh.
Sounds like a sub-audible tone.
Okay, I think I figured it out. Yes, all right. That was the thing that was messing me up before. There's too many switches to hit on this desk here. All right, I figured that out. Let's go to SWL 42. Someone says put a proxy in for 42, which I will do also for 43. And if Ray is out there, 360, SWL 44, also get Ray proxied in. I want to say hello to Captain Robert out there in Nevada. And yeah, he's sending out some good thoughts to all those in the Southern California fire. Wow, it is, I'm looking at some of the pictures here. Of course, I grew up around those areas, and I've never seen, there's fires every year, but I've never, ever seen anything like what is going on right now. So hopefully they can get a handle on it. The winds will stay calm and collected. Part of that is 60, 70, and 80 mile an hour winds, so it doesn't matter even if you've fixed your homestead to try and keep it good. When you get 80 mile an hour winds blowing those embers around, it's going to be tough. So, Captain Robert, thanks for joining us. Glad you could be in the air chair tonight. Checking in Paul, SWL 45. Paul and Kelly up in the beautiful city of North Fork listening in, and hoping you guys can get on the air soon.
I'll second that one.
Absolutely. Let's head over to SWL 47.
Well, good evening to all from the Radio Lounge. This is SWL 47.
Sounding good from the Radio Lounge. Hope you are, you've got the heat adjusted to a comfortable 64 degrees.
surprisingly, it looks like it's about 73, at least above this radio.
All right, that's even better. I would come over for 73. 64, I'll keep the jacket and the tie on there. You're sounding good. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, sir. 73.
The Old Tube Radio Network directed net roll call looking for SWL 48. You know, I bet Sam was in there last night. I'll give him a check-in. I missed the entire net last night. Usually I can listen in and see who's checking in, but been working late. Let's go to SWL 49.
Well, we currently have carne asada cooking away on the big green egg, and that's not something you really want to walk away from, so we're going to make this a quickie. 49er, Mr. Smitty checking in, and hey, man, we're waving a hand for Sweet Country Mama. She says hello to all the wonderful people enjoying their evening out on the Old Tube Radio Night. So, as always, thank you for the check-in, Dennis, and you guys have a super fine evening.
We will do that. Sounds like the dinner call is not too far away. That sounds good. We always have something cooking here in the green room. Gary up there in Sacramento has always got something going on, and now we've got our own little tradition right here in Central California. Thank you, Smitty. Sweet Country Mama, you are sounding good on the Big Time Radio. Thanks for checking in.
Hey, back at you. Take care, take care.
Bringing up, I think we head back over to Sangertown for SWL 51. And then over to SWL 52. And I got a note to get Aaron and the gang checked in, which I will do. Caller already wanting to know, are there any CB nets working the California fires? I don't know, but you know what? Let's talk about radio for a second. That is what is over-the-air radio is what helps a lot of people, because when your power goes out and you don't have cell phone towers, your phone is no good. None of that stuff is good except for your good old AM car radio, or your portable AM radio with the batteries or the crank. So two-way radio is a good thing. It's not going away, and it is still valid for extreme conditions like what is happening down in Southern California. So very possible there could be some CB nets going on or something like that. But definitely AM, over-the-air AM radio wireless is making a big hit for people who are evacuating and wanting to know what is going on. SWL 53, Mr. Belair checked in early. So we got the X in the square for him. We're getting a proxy check-in for SWL 54. Larry, 55 is already in. And I don't believe this guy stepped in early, so we'll call him now. SWL 56, just for kicks, over.
Well, good evening, Dennis and the net. Indeed so. 56, just for kicks.
All right, thanks for joining us as always, and you've got the X in the square sounding good from your location to mine. Let's go to shortwave listener, I can see this, shortwave listener 57 out in central Kentucky. I want to make sure I didn't miss him scrolling up. And thank you, Larry. Yeah, I checked a couple of things, and for some reason it came up normal. I didn't have to switch anything. I saved the settings from last week and checked them, so who knows why these things happen or don't happen. I'm not sure. The puppies are asleep, but we're awake on the Old Tube Radio Network. Moocher came in earlier, but I was so jumping up and down out of the chair trying to fix stuff, I think she decided that was not... The warm lap was not where she wanted to be. Let's call SWL 58. From beautiful Scottsdale, UDX 3030. No, that's not an echo. It's the number. UDX 3030 are looking good here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. SWL 59 also checking in. I did see Uncle Hairball at the beginning of the net here, and probably right now, live from his appearance, or from his live appearance over at Old Radio Night. We got you checked in. 59. Let me put an X in the square for SWL60. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Dennis. Hello, everyone out there. SWL60 checking in.
Checking in and doing a fine job of doing it. I've got you. I've got the X in the square for you.
Thank you.
Then let's head way out somewhere. Way out yonder is what we used to say to SWL61.
61, check it in, Dennis.
All right, thanks for hanging in there out in the cold weather. We're finally getting our cold spell here. We may get some frost on the pumpkins where there's some pumpkins. There will be frost. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dino, we got you checked in. Let's go to SWL62. SWL63. Shortwave listener 64. I did see Craig in earlier out of Wisconsin, so I'll get the X in the square for Craig. Let's go to shortwave listener 65. SWL 66. Yeah, my noise keeps getting less and less. I like that. SWL 67. I'll check for Bill over on the big page because he's usually hanging out there, and he is there tonight from about an hour ago out there in Canby, Oregon. So X in the square. Hope you are all doing well up there. SWL 68. I saw Michael in early on the video side, so I got to check in for Michael out in New York. And on likewise, SWL 69, Kenny was one of the first stations to walk in on the video here tonight. So Kenny out in Tulsa, we're getting you checked in, no problem. Let me head over to the hill and around the corner and see if Mark is braving the weather here. SWL 70. In fact, if I remember from last week, he doesn't have to go out to the mobile anymore. He can actually, he's got a air chair set up in the radio room, which is a good thing. Guess I should refresh my screen to see who has stopped by. Looking for SWL 71. Stan, I don't know. I have not been on Radioactive much to know what contests are going on or anything like that. So hopefully Stan will be out there at some point. Shortwave listener 72. SWL 73. I was just taking a pause because I did talk to John on the crossband. He was sounding good. He said, if I don't make it on the AM side, get me on the FM side, and that's what we're going to do. We've got a check-in for SWL 74 from earlier. Let's see if 356 BYU is listening or watching in somewhere, SWL 75. Shortwave listener 76. SWL 77. Somebody said to put a proxy in for 77, which I will do. Wild Wildemar and Windy Wildemar, they're a little south of the fire hazards there, but they're definitely in the wind. Richard, I saw you in earlier, and I'm checking you in now. Here's a station I heard on 11 meters, 2 meters, and I went for he's out there now, SWL 79. Well, I told him that I would check him in since he checked in with me earlier, and that's what I'm going to do. SWL 80. And let's see. Oh, let's see what's going on with the limos tonight.
27.085 OTR channel 11.
That's channel 11 for you. Just checking in. The limos have been called out to help out in any way that is necessary that they can with the Southern California fires. So they're on a little hiatus here in this area, but working overtime, helping out down in Southern California tonight. Let's go to shortwave listener 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in from the Ditch Banks of Biola. Good evening.
And sounding good from the Ditch Banks. Sorry I couldn't make it last night. I'm ending up, for some reason, doing these late Friday night things at the radio station. And I get back, and I'm too late to even get rustle up somebody for a late check-in. So how did things go? It's really quiet here tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet last night. No DX. Everybody sounded good. Had about 21 check-in. So, yeah, it was all good.
Well, that's a good thing. And what he's talking about, of course, is the net that happens here in Central California on Friday evenings, 8 p.m. on 36 lower, 27.365, otherwise known as the Ditch Banks sideband net. Ron, you just heard, sits in the air chair most times, and we'll get you checked in if you're on the list, get you checked in if you're not on the list when you stop by at the end, and have a good time by all. Bring your tube radio if it has sideband. You'll get it checked in, and if not, bring your best and greatest sideband radio, and it'll get checked in as well. Anyway, thanks for checking in here.
All right, Dennis. Have a good night.
And Steve, did I get to pick? I don't know. I have been so out and about this week. I'll have to see if I've got a pick that I haven't seen, if it went to the wrong port in the email. But if so, and I can find it, I'll see what we got. So I don't know. Sometimes things go where they shouldn't go. So I will look again for a picture. Hopefully, if you sent it long ago, if you know when it was sent, I can check back on that. And hello to Wayne, who is listening in from Glen Allen, Virginia, where they're having a little bit of snow. And I'm still trying to adjust my receiver. Let me get back to the list. Direct net roll call. We've got some tube radios that are waiting to check in when I finish up here. Let's go to SWL 83. Oh, last Saturday. All right, well, I'll have to check back in my archives. And I will also get, because I can, the Cheerios Kid, the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl. That's 84, 86, 87, and 88 respectively. Call for SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 91. I don't think I missed Felix at the top of the program here. Usually he pops in just like that. No, I don't have to go searching at all. Thank you, Felix. We've got you checked in on the old Tube Radio Network. SWL 92. That would be Mr. Roman. Someone ring his telephone. Tell him he's up. And Paul saying there's snowing in Hampton, West Virginia. It's that time where it's snowing all over. Let's go to shortwave listener 95. Otherwise known as Mr. Warthog 95. See if Jim is listening in SWL 97. And there's 95 from beautiful Orlando, Florida, saying a good evening to everyone and right back at you. I tried to check into a Florida net about a week or so, up to Mal out in Hollywood, Florida, on 40 meters, and he was booming in here, but he couldn't hear me because I'm a mud duck. I've got a very low antenna. At night, when the sun goes down on 40 meters, you need to have that wire in the air. So Mal knew I was in there, but not enough to get a good check-in with the conversation. Let's see, who else is here? SWL 98, Tracy. And Tracy, I got you checked in. I'm putting the X in the square. How about Randy, SWL 99? He might be listening in. Certainly not over the air because we don't have any real skip conditions going on. The Echolink link is up, and I think we are ready to try that out. So let me fire up the Echolink link here. Fire up the Echolink link and see if we can't grab a station or two or one, like this guy, KD4BAO from KB6GFDLO Tony. All right, we'll see if Tony is out there tonight on the Echolink link and find out how we're doing with the... Oh, first of all, I have to stop transmitting. Sorry about that, Tony. Let me unkey and back to you. You can take a transmission now. I thought I had hit the space bar, but I didn't. All these technical things, it's so hard to do.
Hey, good evening, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100, back to net control, KD4BAO.
Okay, I think I see where my, I've got a bad connector or something on the Echolink link. Was getting a buzz, but you came through just fine. Tony is about ready to activate our tubes on the air, and that will be happening shortly. Tony, you're sounding good. Thanks for checking in tonight. KB6GFD. It's one of those connectors you buy, and they're just not quite the right size anymore. I don't know what's up with that. Let's go to John, SW102. I saw you earlier, so if you are there now, I will get you checked in. Otherwise, you've been checked in because you were around. I think you said you had to leave. Maybe not, but 102, we'll put the X in the square. Let's go to shortwave listener 103. Joey is in. He was in early as well, so he might have had to scoot tonight. SW 103, Tango Romeo 21 X-ray out there in South Carolina. We got you checked in. And there he is. See, sometimes he checks in at oldtuberadio.net, and he has indeed done that. So I see you. I see you, Joey. No problem whatsoever. Let's go up the hill to SWL 109, Mr. Crawdad. Someone says, proxy for Mr. Crawdad. I will do that. Shortwave listener 110. SWL 111. Robert checked in before the net, sounding good, live and direct from Reedley Town. Shortwave listener 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
114. Hello, Wayne. I'm putting the X in the square, and thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight.
Thank you for the X in the square and the check-in.
Over we go to Fairfax, Virginia. John is listening in, checking in and out. He's got an early company to attend to, so we'll put the X in the square. But thanks, John. If you're watching the replays, I see you on the list, so got you checked in from Fairfax, Virginia. Let's go closer to home, Clovistown to be exact, SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. SWL 135.
SWL 135. Hello, checking in.
Hello, radio. All right, you are X'd in the square. You're on the list, and sounds like we might have some radio activity coming up shortly. SWL 137. Tony, SWL 45 checked in just a few moments earlier, and I'm going to see if we have the Friday night questions. I think we do. Am I on the right thing here? Yeah. For some reason, I'm not. Oh, I know why. you gotta look in the right folder to find the stuff you want. All right, here's our Friday questions and answers for tonight. Question number 1: What Q signal? Now we use 10 code here on 11 meters, but some of you may be familiar with the Q signals, like QST and QRM and the like. So what Q signal does the organization YLRL, that's the Young Ladies Radio League, use as their motto? Is it QSY, QYL, QRV, and QST? Well, I know the answer to that because all those other ones are sort of taken. But is it QSY, QYL, QRV, or QST? And here's the hint, the YLRL, Young Ladies Radio League. And the answer is not what you would think. QRV, which is I Am Ready, which you used to send out if you're ready to copy a code somewhere. You'd send out a QRV and the other station would go. So, all right, I got that one wrong. I guessed, but they're using QRV. Question number 2. What thing found in nature was the object of research by the Army Signal Corps for use as a viable radio antenna? And there's no multiple choice here. So what thing found in nature? So a thing in nature was the object of research by the Army Signal Corps for use as a viable radio antenna. And the answer, I guess it would make sense, is trees. So maybe they said, trees are naturally tall, so is there some way to radiate a tree? Was it Joyce Kilmer would want to know about that? Maybe there's something in that poem that we didn't know about the birds and the branches and all of that, and a crazy radio operator connecting the RG-213 to my trunk. But anyway, and that's interesting. The Army Corps Signal Corps of Engineer studying trees to see if they would work for a viable radio antenna. What was the answer? Are they hiding something for us? Anybody tried to radiate their pine tree outside? Let's go to, we're back to the roll call here. We got some radios I want to check in. SWL 147, Neil checked in earlier out there in Kakalaki, jumping back to Central California, SWL 188. Up to Corscoll we go, SWL 195. All right, 195, Corscoll Starliner. Thank you, Jim, for stopping by the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you, sir.
And I agree, UDX 357 sounds like a good way to start a fire. My guess is they probably started a couple fires with that project. Somebody told me to proxy in Shockwave, SWL 226. Haven't heard Jeff in a while. Usually he was great being up in the hills and giving us some relays from far, far away. So 226, if you're out there. If not, we got you checked in. Anybody else wanting to check in here for the Old Tube Radio Network?
Me.
Ah, that guy's in the air chair. I'm looking to see. Yeah, that unknown SWL is gone. He is no longer unknown. He's right here.
Well, please check number 20 in 29N54. Did you mention about 37?
He checked in.
Okay, and did he talk about the situation?
No, he did not.
Okay, Chris, number 37, is going to be having some medical bills, and unfortunately he's going to be selling his radios. The tube radios are sold already, okay? He does have a couple of amateur radios that he's going to keep using for just a short time, and then I think they're going to be sold too. A Kenwood 930S and a Kenwood 680. He's got some D104s, some mobile amps, a couple of, I think he said 50 amp power supplies, and a bunch of mobile radios. Galaxy 959 with a D104 hand mic. Then the following ones, I'm not sure of the hand mics. I think they're all, most of them are mobiles. A Radio Shack TRC 427, a unit in PC76XLW. Then I think it's a bass, a Navajo TRC 433. Then he's got a President Zachary and some watt meters also. But those of you that can get a hold of them, get a hold of them. And he said I could mention all this, so there you go. Unfortunately, medical bills. Oh, he will be selling his antenna and push-up pole, which is on the roof as we speak. But when he's done with all his radios, that'll go also. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, and thank you, Harvey. I will let you get back to what you were doing and maybe grab a radio, because that's what we will be doing on as we switch over to the Tube Talk time. I got to jump out of the air chair and change a couple of cables to do that, and we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, and they're saying Espresso Truck, they want to do a little ditty. They can do either of those before we go. All right, here's what we'll do. I will, hand the microphone over to them, and while they're doing their thing, I will do my thing, and then we'll hopefully be back here all at the same time. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, and we're handing the microphoniums over to stage 2 for Espresso Trucking Company. What are they doing? American Fried. All right.
Long, long time ago, I can still remember how those key-downs used to make me smile. I knew if I had my chance that I could make my tube amp dance. Maybe I'd be the big gun for a while. The relay chatter made me shiver with every carrier I deliver. Bad news on the meter, I think I cooked my heater. I can't remember if I cried when my dozy meter told a lie, but something shot me deep inside the day my big box fried. So bye-bye my kilowatt die. The caps they took a crap and the relay it fried. And them good old mod ducks, well they stepped on my pride, singing don't forget to back off the drive. Don't forget to back off the drive. Did you take a few hard licks, and do you have faith in CB tricks? David Carl tell you so. Do you believe in MOSFETs now? Enough you will save your bank account. And can you teach me how to tune real slow. Well, I know that you're in love with dudes, 'cause I heard you chatting with some dudes. You all kicked on your ends, and out went all the street lamps. I was a lonely teenage CB schmuck with a mud duck station in a pickup truck. But I knew I had found some luck the day your big box fried. I started singing, bye bye, your kilowatt died. The caps, they took a crap, and the relay fried. And us good old mud ducks always stepped on your pride, singing, don't forget to back off the drive. Don't forget to back off the drive. I met a guy who once sold tubes, and I asked him what I could do, but he just shrugged and turned away. So I went down to the electronics store, where I bought some sweep tubes years before. But the man there said the sweep tubes were all gone. And in the streets the truckers screamed, the skip shooters cried, and the locals dreamed. But not a word was spoken, their relays all were broken. And the one thing I aspired most, walking the dog from coast to coast, went up and smoked my signal toast the day my big box fried. Bye bye, your kilowatt died. The caps, they took a crap, and the relay it fried. And us good old mud ducks, well, we stepped on your pride, singing, don't forget to back off the drive.
And this is the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, turning into a real production thing here tonight. The Old Tube Radio Network, we are back with your tube radios. Let me clear the rigs and clear the Nixies and get out the Rolodex and hope that it works and say OTR is listening for any and all check-ins. Over. Oops. I think my receiver was not working. Let's try that again.
135.
Okay, it's working. Yeah, I looked over, my meter was pegged, and I think the RF gain got messed up. But 135, I hear you. Jump on in to the air chair, and I will get out the Old Tube Radio list, and we are off and running, as they say.
Do I go yet?
Yeah, go ahead. I was looking for my pen here, but you may take a transmission. You may shoot the RF. What do the songs say? You may shoot the power to the tower at any moment. 135 over.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Okay, SWL 135 here with the radio from the Dynascan Corporation in Chicago, Illinois. This is the B&K Mark Cobra Cam 88. That's an awful lot of stuff to get out of there. Let's see, it's 10 tubes, but all 23 channels, crystal controlled, transmit and receive. Back to you.
Crystal control, transmit, and receive. I've got a shot of a pair of Cobra Cam 88s. I'm not sure if there's a reason that there are two of them, so let me bring them up. Ooh, that's not a good screen. That's what I want. Courtesy of Mark, N5RPZ. I see what he's doing. He's showing that there is one that has a mod light with no switch and a mod light with some type of switch below it. Over.
Roger, that's the kind I've got. This has the modulation light, which is indicating that I've got some sort of modulation. And directly below that is the Dynaboost switch, which is on. I always leave it on. It just gets too thin without it. It should say Dynaboost above that switch. Let's see. Oh, yes. The microphone here is a gray bass amplified D104. Back to you.
Sounding good. Tells us a Cobra Cam 88. Who else also checks in with one of those dentists? And they have very good low frequency response. And I'm hearing that in my headphones. And yeah, it looks like they took some type of Photoshop thing and unless it's somebody scraped it up, it's like they Photoshopped out the words above the switch. As you said, it said Dynaboost or something. That's very strange. It says there's nothing there, but you can tell there used to be something there. Huh.
Yeah, I've seen that picture before. I guess somebody must have got out the Comet cleanser and scrubbed it off or something. But there's other people around here who have got these, and it says Dynaboost on it. It actually says Dyna-Boost. And let's see, what else was I going to say? I can't remember what else I was going to say about this. But it is it's a very long-named Citizens Band transceiver, and this one's working pretty well tonight. Hello. Yeah, I'm not sure how the audio is going to be. I can't wait to hear it on the playback. I haven't checked this in a while, so I thought I would. Back to you.
All right. I think you would like to play back. I have just kind of rechecked all my settings from last week on the playback to make sure it was routed correctly. And I've got reports that we're not doing the strange pitch shift thing going on, so you will sound normal. I will sound as normal as I can sound, and you will probably be pleased. You are 9 pounds, good modulation. I'm not sure if the S-meter... Oh, does the S-meter work, and is it illuminated?
Yes and yes. It's one of the only things that is illuminated. There's that, the mod light, and the channel number, which is a white numbering on a black background. It says 11. And you are... what is it you like to say all the time? 10 pounds good modulation here in northern Fresno.
Indeed, that's an old OBP thing of the 9 pounds good modulation. I brought up the quad screen, so I think you can give yourself an audio check on the Orban meter, a signal check on the S meter, see the likeness of the radio, and it is all good. Sounds really good. Those radios are not filtered out in the audio like they did with the Brownings. So I guess maybe if you were got to be careful with low frequency buzzing and humming. I don't hear much going on with that. So I think it's all a good thing. The Cobra Cam 88, which has not been on the air in a while, is doing a nice performance tonight.
Oh, good deal. And my freaky meter is showing I'm just the teensiest bit high in frequency. I got 0853, 0854. Excuse me. It's cold out here. And speaking of that, I was listening on the inside of the house. Yeah, I didn't hear any of the audio wackiness that's been going on for a while. You sounded normal. Everybody else sounded normal. So, yeah, I hope we're still in the normal mode of operation. Back to you.
Get a 5-gallon bucket, put some wood in, and light it.
Okay, there you go. And someone else says it's great audio. Oh, it's Cowboy. Great audio on that Cobra, but they weigh about a half a ton. So as long as you don't have to move it, you're in good shape.
That's what I should do, Chris. I should build a fire out here. One of these days I may have to do that. Oh yeah, and this is a teeny radio. I mean, as far as my radios go, this is one of the smaller ones. So no, it's not heavy. It's my Cobra.
I know that song. All right, thanks for bringing it by. It will be. I'll put it as at the first radio on our list. I've got to add 25 in there with his Browning, but you are sounding good and looking good, and that's because it is good. Over.
And that's all good. Thanks for letting me check it in, and are we doing this again next week?
As far as I know, I think I will be in the air chair next week, so not a problem.
Oh, I didn't catch it. Who made 00?
Oh, I have to go look back at my list because I don't remember. I wrote it in. It is, SWL11, who is Dan Cornbread on the digital side.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's kind of cool. Efficacious, as they say. Number 11 on Channel 11. Cool. Okay, we'll catch you next week. See ya.
My receive come back to normal here to make sure that I've got some RF gain things going, but it's good. I kind of like it. It's making the receive very easy to not have a lot of noise. But that means that the Jingle Singers are also sounding good as well. We'll check in with them and then be back for some Tube Radio check-ins right after this.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
I'm just looking at the REA meter here. It says I'm overmodulating a little bit. So, you know what? I might be. Let me turn that back down. Maybe that'll help out a little bit. It looks a little bit better on the scope. And the Old Tube Radio Network is standing by. We're listening for radio number 2. You have to call in Espresso Trunking Company again. And Chrissy, thanks for joining us. And Uniform November Lima out there in Tuland. Little bit of ESSB is always a good thing. We're listening on an ESSB radio, believe it or not, in wideband receive. So we can, if anybody's doing the audio thing, you just heard on the Cobra Cam 88. I don't think they put a lot of coupling caps in that radio, so it was up to you to make sure you didn't have a microphone problem. Where is it? Where's my badge here? And member of, let's see if I can do this like they do it on television, the West Coast ESSB Audio Punks. And we've got the board set up and trying to make everybody sound as good as they can sound. We're listening for radio number 2. Also a member of the Voodoo ESB audio crew. Maybe you're familiar with Michael, Mr. Peak, and his Voodoo radios as well. But here on the Old Tube Radio Network, it's all good. If you can get some type of transduce your audio into the carrier, we will pick you up and check you in. The only thing is we're not in. Actually, we could be. We're not in stereo tonight. I think I took off the stereo button to run through the processes in mono. And speaking of ESSB audio guys, when you're in the mud, it is not because you sound bad. It's because you are listening to Craig in the south part of the state here, doing a good job. Thanks for joining us, Craig. The Old Tube Radio Network, waiting for one of those classic tube radios to show up. In the meantime, the jingle singers say they will jump in. They will jump in the what is known as a lull here and do what they do best, letting you know why we are here and what happens on a Saturday evening.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
I'm going to see if I can find that picture from Steve a week ago. No wonder I missed it. Yeah, I agree. We don't have the 7.5% pitch shift going on this week. So I'll save all the settings, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to work right. And hello, Rich. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network. Yeah, let me see. I think I found it here. Steve from Boat Anchor CB. Whoa, from Boat Anchor CB Repair. I recognize that old Radio Shack. I think that's one of the first ones that had the slider pots in it. That's what you call stack O radios, and they get bigger and better. Okay, and they, like they say, redundancy is a good thing. When it comes to having radios, you can have one on each channel. It keeps you from having to touch anything, right? Except for the coax switch. Oh, wait a minute. They said there's more. All right, hold on. Yeah, there it is. I'm not good enough on the transistor stuff to say what that is, but they all have matching speakers, so it's a complete set. On the other side, oh man, what is it? That's a Simba. Is that a Pierce Simpson Simba with all the knobs? That was Pierce Simpson made a lot of great radios in the early and mid '70s. The kind you thought that you would buy where you're not a high school student. with no money, right? that's a good question. Joey asked me, why is it so dark? Joey asking me, what's my handle should he hear me on Skips someday? I don't know. I usually just listen to the Skip because I'm afraid because speaking of, we were talking about mud earlier. Speaking of being a mud duck, I figure I'll never be heard. So I am the consummate SWL when it comes to listening to Motormouth Mall talking to Prime Minister on the bowl. Although I think my speed is more of 38 lower or 39 lower. I like to sneak, on like 33 or 34 where you wouldn't be, or the old school. There's actually a Facebook page for Channel 16, which back in the day, and the kind of radios we're talking about, the 23 channel radios, the ones that had sideband, when there was not 40 channels and you didn't have a VFO, you went to Channel 16. And one of the reasons was it had an RC channel next to it, so when people started widening out their VFOs, as you might say, you had a little bit of space to go down, I think, between 15 and 16. You had a little space to put a couple of stations that you were usually at 3 kilohertz. Might get 2 or 3 stations in that space, but I'll go down occasionally to 16 lower and listen when Skip is in, and I'm amazed how many sideband stations I don't hear, but apparently it's a thing. It's a thing you can do, especially if you're still running your Regency Imperial's double sideband AM radio. and Dwayne says, no, you talk, Skip. Fess up there, 33. That's right, I would probably go by 33. Which is my shortwave listener number. And the reason I got that number is because back in the day, long ago, when I was living down in Southern California in Manhattan Beach, one of the groups there dubbed me Manhattan 33. So, thanks for reminding me, Dwayne. I probably used the number 33 just because that's all I remember, and I'm not smart enough to think of something cool. And maybe I would say Manhattan 33, but then people think you're out of New York. Hello to who joined us? Stevensville, Montana. Montana's got a great Kiwi SWR or SDR radio receiver on the Kiwi net. Always have a good signal here on 40 and 80 meters at night from here up to Montana. I think it's near Missoula. It's a good NVIS hop. I don't know, 500 miles, 700 miles as that proverbial crow flies. So good evening to you. Thanks for checking in. The Old Tube Radio Network, we're hoping we get more than a couple of tube radios, but it's that kind of evening here in the Central Valley where it's cold enough that if you don't have a lot of tube radios turned on, you want to stay by something warm. You want to stay by the coffee pot. And Rusty Rails, I hear you. It's hard to get anything started in cold weather. People, cars, tubes. Tubes just like to stay warm. I remember there was a controversy, especially at the TV station, for when you leave at the end of the day, do you turn off all the equipment or you just leave it on? And there was something about, just leave the filaments on forever. That way they don't get cold and hot and kind of break down. So maybe that's the best thing. Leave those two, if you can, if it's safe. Leave the tube radios on. Don't tell the fire department about that. Leave the tube radios on all week long, so it's ready to go when OTR comes around. Speaking about ready to go, here are the Jingle Singers. They're always ready to go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. The friendliest station for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Larry said they were planning some fireworks down at the baseball stadium, I think, tonight. I wonder what's going on. Okay, here's one for you. The Burstein Appleby 23. We haven't had one, let me bring up a picture. We haven't had one check in a while, but they do exist. You've got the BA logo right there in the center. But here's a good example of, and a lot of companies did this. I think this was for Montgomery boards. Was it? No, it's for Burstein Appleby. What am I talking about? Where they take what appears to be an Olsen spot or two and rebranded to BA. Sears did that with the Lafayette and also the E.F. Johnson 223. Montgomery wards, I think, used a Cobra. So the department stores back when, they weren't having to fight with the internet and Amazon and wanting to get into the CB thing, and especially 69, 70, 71, 72, had some of these companies brand their radios so that at least when you were wandering around the store buying a hammer, you might wander over and pick up a radio. Yeah, it's slow tonight. Maybe I should be blaming it on the sunspots, huh? What are the numbers? I know we're below 100 on the sunspots, but that usually doesn't affect us here at night, though. A is 7, the K is 2. It was 0 when we started. And the SFI is 153. Sunspots are down. They've even we lost 1 or 2 rotated out of view just since we started. And the propagation, of course, is showing poor at night. Although if you go down in frequency, everything's showing good at night, which is typical. And you can see even my noise is low tonight. The Old Tube Radio Network listening for any and all check-ins. Charlie says we should blame it on the Espresso Trucking Company just before the tubes. Yeah, I'll remember to save them until after the tubes radios check in. think we got some ambient audio. Oh, you know what? That was one of the SDRs came in. It was kind of scary. Somebody's playing music. On 38.7. Yeah, it's not a good. See if there's any boat anchor AM stations on the net.
Did you copy the 5-7 from me?
There's somebody on 3870. That's AM on 75 meters, probably checking out their broadcast transmitter with old music. That's a little bit distorted. Hello, Popcorn 913. That sounds good. I may traverse over to the that pop. We got one of those popcorn machines with a little pan. You open the doors.
Break OTR.
And do that at the end of the net here. The break OTR. I'm still working. You sound great. Over.
I can't believe there's a moment of silence here for me to check in. Well, again, greetings from the Radio Lounge. How about a Robin T123 for the list?
We can do that. So I think in the business, we used to call this a lull. And it does happen on the old Tube Radio Network, but you have jumped in during the lull and given us something to open the Rolodex about. Robin T123, was there a B on that? Over?
No B on the end of this one. This is my, was this? Yes, this was my very first vacuum tube radio ever purchased, Robin T123 with the infamous main reason why I got this in the first place. It had the infamous magic eye tube, winking and blinking, which is doing quite nicely with this amplified D104 I use. This is a great radio to be using at almost 10 o'clock at night because you don't have to scream into it to make it modulate and wake your entire household up.
Also, the other nice thing is when you do modulate, you know where you are at because instead of just a little light, it's like, I think it's coming on. You see this nice big, you're looking at the side of that tube. You see the two little top and the bottom and coming together towards 100% modulation. You know, as they say, you are on the air.
Yeah, and please don't quote me on this. A 6RE13, I believe this is. I can't remember.
Come on,
not quite decades, but maybe approaching. No. Well, about a decade and a half ago, I would imagine, when I was kind of looking around at these guys, I found a webpage that had like a ton of different kinds of Magic Eye tubes. I mean, it was just amazing. You know, of course, ones like the Gonzit, whatever it is, the 675, I think, they had Magic Eye tubes that looked like expanding peacock feathers. They had all sorts of them, and I don't know what really drew me to this one. I guess it was the fact that this, at the time, this particular kind of Magic Eye tube was really the only thing I was seeing around on eBay. There were no Gonzits, at least at that particular moment in time.
Robins are probably more easy to find, although the 123, the 123B, of course, 240D, the 123 is just like early on in the CB craze going on, and a lot of things were switching to transistors at the time, so the tube radios were hard to sell. I got in my first radio about 1970, and I remember Radio Shack already had the Navajo, which was solid state, and it was hard to find a tube radio. It really was a brand new radio. The Fan and Fanfare was still out, which is was it that model? No, I think that was the Cobra chassis. I was going to say it was that one, but it wasn't because it didn't have the Magic Eye tube. So I don't know. Sounds good. The audio is good. It's a cool radio. It's like an old car. You know, you're sitting in the front seat of an old car and you look at the push button transmissions and the round radio dials and all the stuff they put in there to make it fancy, although it might not have been safe. You know, you poke your eye out, but it looked cool. And likewise with this radio that you have, over.
Yeah, you know, on that comment, I got to say, I've definitely been spending quite a bit of time looking around on bringatrailer.com at a particular kind of an old car that, number one, you don't have to have smog, but number two, the one I'm looking at, or the model I'm looking at, has a lot of real estate underneath that dash that would more than accommodate, well, even a two-piece radio for that matter. But we'll see if that ever happens. I don't have a mobile mounting bracket for this guy. On my other Robin, the 123 Bravo, I do. Actually, it's resting on top of it right now. But unfortunately, this one did not come with a mobile mounting bracket. That definitely hasn't stopped me from using it on the road, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Well, pretty soon at least. Summer's coming at some point in time.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow. Well, probably not tomorrow. And it's interesting you said that because I just brought up some information. And there it is, the model T123, description 11 tube, 2 transistor CB transceiver. And somebody says 2 transistors. Well, that's probably because of what Mike was talking about. The radio does go mobile. So I think they use the transistors as sort of a DC to DC converter, something like that, because it's got a special cord you plug in, and it takes a 12-volt DC and runs the filaments, I believe. But that's, I think, what they're using the transistors for. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's it. If you want to know more, you want to follow the schematics, get your Sam's Photo Fax Book 35 and flip over to page 95 and have at it. You're getting some good comments from the listeners on the video stream about how great it sounds, and they are not lying. It does sound great.
Oh, good. Well, thank you to everyone who's mentioned that. I think I make this comment often. Everyone just sounds really, really, really good. This does have a replacement speaker. I guess the original one that was in this guy met its demise, thanks in no part to a cat, well, relieving itself on it. So I don't know if it's just a newer speaker or what, but it's just, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's really cool just sitting down and on a Saturday night listening to everyone. So there it is. I was going to make one comment. Oh, goodness sakes. I don't even remember what it was. I was going to ask, though, before I get out of here, so this thing, I think I've mentioned this before. It does have, is it Dymatape, or I think that's what you call it, the blue little labeling tape that they had in the 60s and 70s. It's got that on the top of this radio. There's something that says upper and then another little slab of the tape that says lower, and then someone added a dial in there. In the back of my mind, I want to say that it was modified just for receive, but not transmit, with just one dial. Does that make sense? Well, I guess in other words, back in the day, or at some point in time, would someone have modified a tube radio just to extend the receive and not the transmit?
I'm thinking, because I think it was actually easier to make your radio transmit on sideband, because it's already transmitting on sideband. You got upper and lower, so you'd make a circuit to cut out the carrier. That's for your transmitter. So now you're on double sideband, but the issue is the receive, and you need VFOs, so hard to say. And if that's a synthesized crystal, which I think it is, meaning then if you look in there, you're not going to see 23 crystals. You're going to see 11 or 12 where they're multiplying, got a main multiplier and then something else and something else. So maybe they did some trickery, but it would have to be inserting another crystal to go above 23, and then another crystal that was lower in frequency to multiply so that you would be below 23, and then you'd just be, you could possibly be transmitting there as well. I'm not absolutely sure on that, over.
Okay, that's fine. Well, it's embarrassing to say, for years now I've wanted to do some experimenting to find out exactly what this will do. But that'll be a chore for some other time. I will have to say, though, as you just keyed up, I was kind of looking inside of the radio from on top of the cage, just trying to see if I could see an extra crystal shoved in there somewhere. And ooh, it got my nose close to the radio, and what a delightful aroma. Warm vacuum tubes in an old radio. I know that's a bizarre comment. I've made it numerous times before, but there's nothing like the smell of hot vacuum tubes in the morning. It smells like victory.
It does. And Moocher is here, Moocher Cat, who would never, is that right, Moocher? Who would never defile, we'll leave it at that, defile an old tube radio, because she knows what would, that would be a bad thing. Although, if it was already done, you know how cats are. But this cat right here would say, "Oh no, I would sit on top of it because it's nice and warm." Over.
Okay, well, maybe I'll leave you on this comment. Just the mental images of a cat defacing a radio. Maybe that's how they got that picture for the what battery company was it? The Rayovac. There was an old battery that had a picture of like a V for volt. And like a cat that, at least in my mind's eye, was getting shocked. Maybe that's where they got that from. Maybe some engineer watched a cat doing something unspeakable to a tube radio and thought, hey, you know what? That's our new picture for our batteries. There it is.
Well, you're close a little bit. Let me see if I get an image. Yeah, and I'll bring up that. It won't be exactly correct, but one of the very old, like, box, it will be apropos, like a 45 volt or the 90 volt battery that they used to use to actually in the portable tube radios. I'll bring it up on the screen here for those listening or watching the playback, right, to get my screen. And there is the cat, and it is jumping through the number 9 because it's Eveready 9 Lives radio, and this is a B battery. What does it say? 45, 40. This would be used in your tube radio set. But the cat jumps through the 9, and its tail is sort of like a lightning bolt. So they probably, like, Wonder Bread helps build bodies, strong bodies, 12 ways, and then the FTC says, no, it doesn't. You tell me the ways. And it's like, oh, that's only really 6. And so at some point, they came to Eveready and said 9 lives. So you're telling me when your battery dies, you can put it back in the radio again and for 8 more times. And so I think that's probably why the cat's no longer there. Over.
Someone ought to call Elon Musk and mention that, you kill your battery 9 times and it'll still do its job.
All right, well, I'm taking this off of an eBay thing, and there's the top of the battery with a strange, funky, but there it is. the 9 lives. And I think our radios are more like that. The radios that we hear on the old Tube Radio Network do have 9 lives, as a lot of them have been checking them for a long, long time. Well built, well made, and always sounding good. We appreciate your stepping in to give us our basically our third radio of the evening before we jump out of here.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Just the third?
Just the third. It's one of those evenings where I think you stay in the living room with the cat and some hot chocolate.
Okay, well now I feel bad that not that many folks have checked in. So why don't you add if you don't mind, add another one to the list. A very simple one that kind of sneak in here. This is my Robin T123B. It's getting me out of breath just even trying to scream into the microphone right now. So yeah, this is the one we were just talking about. It has no magic eye tube. No cat jumping to a 9 or whatever. It doesn't operate on 9 volts, but it does have a rather pathetic looking modulation lamp, which I have to scream into just to get it to anything. But at least it's another Robin for the radio, and it's fun. And yes, it does warm up your radio room or radio lounge.
It does. I've switched my photo from the Rolodex Robin T123 Bravo from the collection of Cliff 135, who checked in earlier with, what did Cliff had? He had the Cobra Cam 88, also putting in some great audio as you are. I think Dwayne and Chrissy are still out there listening. This is one of Chrissy's favorite radios. I think Dwayne has probably talked to us on his Robin direct from Idaho here on the old Tube Radio Network, so turnabout is fair play. This radio coming out in 1972 to replace the one you were just on, and it got replaced in 1976 because of the 40-channel debacle. But we'll go back to you because it sounds good.
Oh, thanks. Well, besides the fact that this radio gets really, really, really hot, and I love talking about that all the time, I've always threatened to get some old easy-bake oven, whatever, meal packs that I would imagine you could find on eBay, and maybe tossing those on top of this radio and cooking them up. The other fun thing about this is it's got, on the right-hand side of the radio, there's an external speaker little button that you can press. If you actually had one hooked up, you could use it. And then the PA button. How delightful it must have been for folks to stick these radios in their cars and then go to all the trouble of adding an extra speaker somewhere. So, you could tag the button and tell the pedestrians to get out of your way or whatever, or, oh God, what was the Mr. Microphone thing? Hey, good looking, we'll be by to pick you up later. I don't know, something like that. I was just too young to do that. Well, I wasn't even around when this radio came about, but there it is.
Well, indeed. Someone asking if you, Dwayne is saying, do you have a griddle on top of the 23B so you can cook something while you're chatting on it? Maybe get one of those little camping griddle things and put it right on the top, and yeah, maybe you can do some Canadian bacon or something. Over.
That's a good suggestion, and I'm not going to discount that completely. That sounds like a challenge.
Indeed. I'm going to make an adjustment here. Hold on. All right, I'm adjusting my receiver. I've got the S meter up, and if you watch the playback, I want you to take another transmission and see where you're coming in. I think it's about 7 S units, and the noise level is way low tonight, so you're sounding good.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've always been paranoid as far as my audio quality is concerned on this guy. It does have the range expand on right now. I'm not going to embarrass myself by turning it off. It's just, well, from what I hear, it's ultimately pathetic. But there it is with hopefully halfway decent modulation, and there it is.
No, very, very good modulation. If I had the right picture up, I kind of wanted to put the radio back there. But there it goes. Yeah, I've got you on the S meter. Good audio tonight. It's sounding good, some good comments, and it is a good thing. I'm glad you managed to put that one in. We may have a Robin type of evening tonight.
Oh, good. Well, I hope so. And maybe, speaking of challenges, maybe we'll lay that one at everyone's feet. I'd love to hear. It's been forever since I've got to hear someone else check a robin in. So there it is. I'll back out and keep our fingers crossed and hope that maybe another radio comes in before 10 o'clock.
Could be. I'm looking. It's almost 10 o'clock now. Jingle Singers want to do a thing. Frank saying that he could recharge some of his non-rechargeable batteries based on, he says, Edison's theory. So maybe there were 9 lives possible. So I hope they explain that to the FTC or whatever. They don't have the cat jumping through, but maybe there's still ever ready 9 lives going on. Sounding good. Thanks for radio number 4. The Robin T123 Bravo. Always a good item.
Thanks, sir. 73.
And the Jingle Singers said this.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Going to do some counting and mounting, but there is plenty of time to get your radio checked in. I know I said bacon. I shouldn't have said bacon. Plenty of time to get your radios checked in before we jump out of here tonight. And we'll be standing by in the L2 Radio Network. Cat. Future. Falling through the cracks here, buddy.
Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Still there, Dennis?
Oops, my king hand was counting numbers.
Go ahead and put the bird in here.
Got it.
The golden beagle.
I'm adding it. I'm having to deal with a second person in the air carrier. Or second, I should say, feline.
Okay. Well, let me switch to coax here real quick. Well, flip a switch. Check in this other radio. Been sitting on the bench for 2 weeks. Might as well do it.
They used to say at the time these radios were new, do it to it.
Okay. Can you hear this one all right?
I actually hear it quite well over.
Okay. It's the Knight Safari 1.
Let me get back to the control room here if I can find the proper thing and see if we have a Night Safari 1 in our Rolodex item. It's there. It doesn't have quite the audio as you would suspect of that the Browning has, but it's holding its own. Over.
Alrighty. Let's try this here. It's got mic gain control. It's got the stock hand mic on it. Original stock hand mic. The Safari So Goody. Safari 1 by Night. And it's, of course, a kit radio. Everything is screwed together on this thing.
Well, I'm looking at the front. It looks pretty clean. I don't see any screws sticking through, and it has that sort of trapezoidal speaker that the Lafayette's used to have. I wonder if they had something to do with it, but I see the Safari 1. Is it blue, and I'll say blue and silver?
No, you're incorrect. It's silver and blue. Let me see here. It's a clean-looking radio. No screws on the front, but all the tube sockets are screwed in, terminal strips screwed in, the back of the radio is screwed on the chassis, the power plug adapter or power plug setup is all screwed in. This was a kit radio.
Yeah, the Night, well, I remember you would say Night and the word kit. So that would be a thing. And if you bought a kit radio, of course, you would be saving a couple of bucks because you would be, I guess, expected to build it. Sometimes they would sell you for another 20 or 30 bucks. They'd sell you the kit put together. Nice radio, though, Scott. I can't tell. It looks like it's got 23 channels and an S meter, right?
23 channels, nice S meter. Below the S meter are two neon lights. The left one is for normal modulation, and the red one goes on to the right of it when you're overmodulated, which I am. The two switches are an A and L, on and off, or in and out, whatever, and a CBPA. The controls from right to left are squelch, volume, tune, so you have a fine tune, and a smaller little thing that you can grab in turn for mic gain. I've always wanted one of these things because I thought they looked kind of cool. And they had the mic gain on the front. And I was able to pick it up about 15 years ago. Anyway, it was totally off frequency on transmit. The main transmit crystal that sets everything up for the individual channel crystals is a 6 megahertz crystal, 6 megahertz even. And it was too low, so I had to kind of play with the crystal and a 4 picofarad capacitor, and I got it right on. In fact, it shows 085.1. If you want to zero beat me, you can tell me what you show.
I may be able to try that. So I think I've got it set up when I go to sideband. I lose, but I'll try that. That's a very fancy radio for a kid. It's got everything on it, and it got extra plus, like a mic gain in it. I'd just be curious if it's a clone of something. One of the listeners, who was it, Mark, saying he made a contact with somebody on 10 meters running a night kit, probably, and I agree with you, Mark, a converted 11 meter. I've talked to some guys on Car D phones, and the 5 watts is okay. They pop under their big amplifiers, and they get 45, 50, 70 watts a carrier. And obviously, you can hear right here the audio is very good, so kind of fun. Maybe it's just a crystal swap out on some of those. You might be able to do that, get it up at 2900 by just swapping the crystal out. You might have to do some internal tweaking to get things aligned a little bit better to get more output power out of it. So let me see. You know what? I've got a cat in my lap. I am not going to be able to do the zero beat thing without having some type of bad thing happening here.
Oh, don't worry about it. I gotta go to bed anyway. Anyway, on the radios and other stuff that Chris has got, number 37, I guess people can contact me, and I can contact Chris, unless they have his number direct. Anyway, I'll let you go. I like this radio. The meter works fine. It's got 2 little light bulbs in it, and they're good. And I don't know. Crystal-wise, as far as going into 10 meters, not a problem. I can get this thing up there, and it won't do a whole lot of power, but it'll be there.
Sounds good. I put the estimator up. I know you got the Harvey range boost. You're well over, like 10 over 9. The audio holds up well, and I think you said you just have a standard microphone in there, right?
The original night noise-canceling hand mic.
Yeah, it's good. It doesn't have a lot of low frequencies, but it certainly is working well. So not a problem. Your radio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, radio 6 tonight on that one. Very good.
All right, I'll let you go. I think I'll be available next week. I'm not sure. Okay. Take care. And this is it for me. We'll see ya.
All right, sounding good, and that's probably going to be it for me as well. Just last call. Let me jump in here and say any last call for radio or a shortwave listener or other check-ins. OTR standing by. Where it's quiet, no gray line skip tonight, a little bit, but before the net happened, heard Hippopotamus and some other stations coming in, but relatively very quiet tonight. And so, without any further ado,
this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, this will be the current and final total. Stand by. I got to do a lock to talk on this, I think, to do this right. I'll be right back. Have to hit the right button on the radio to do that. Let's see what we have. I got my helper here, Mooch. Moocher, say hi, Mooch. All right, Mooch says, I was sleeping sound, and you're messing me up. SWLs tonight, we had 17 on page 1, 15 on page 2, 16 on page 3, and 19 on page 4. That's a total of 77. Radios, we managed to scrape out a few. The most heard manufacturer tonight, the Robins and the Brownings, with an addition of a couple of items of interest that are, first radio we heard tonight, or at least on the list, first radio we heard was Jerry on his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from out in Madera Heights. And then radio number 1, the B&K Cobra Cam 88. Cliff said it hasn't been driven for a while. And that is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons, really, that the OTR was started was to encourage people to get on their tube radios. It was back in a time in the mid-'80s when the tube radios were sitting on the side and people were getting on the newer transistor radios. And it was like, well, such a shame to not use them. And so it created a little time off from the regular channels down here on channel 11 where you could kind of stop by and key the radio up and say, how does it sound? Is it still working? Let me try this microphone. And here we are today in the 21st century, 2025, still doing the same thing. It's great, and hope you are doing something like that where you are. And we tried to keep it in a mode that reminds one, were one to be around or not, of what it was like when these radios were brand new and how you talked on the radio. And I guess there wasn't a 111 guy, and there probably wasn't a lot of other that stuff too. You just had a nice time talking on the radio because there wasn't anything else, any other way to do it once you turned off the television. A little different today, but we take a couple hours on Saturday evenings to do just that. Radio number 1, the B&K Cobra Cam 88, thank you, Cliff. And then 47, Mike. And, of course, you don't have to have any numbers or be on any list to come by with the radio and say hi. Is Robin T123 for radio number 2. Step up to the next model of Panasonic Chassis 2, the Robin T123. They sold a lot of those. A lot of them still around in that form or another in the Panasonic 2 chassis. Radio 3. Radio 4, Harvey, on the Browning Lavatories, R68, T68 Golden Beagle, from about 1967 or so, the radio before the Mark II and after the Eagle. Radio number 6 was the night, you just heard of the Night Safari 1. I may feature that. I may put that up on the old tube radio net feature page. A lot of these times I don't see them, and it's like, that is a cool radio. Nice colors, not too industrial looking, it's kind of cute, actually, and it was something that you would build, and you'd have a good feeling, especially if it worked after you put all the screws and everything in. Anyway, thanks for joining us. The Old Tube Radio Network, oldtuberadio.net, oldtuberadio.com, all sorts of stuff. But the main thing is to get on the air wherever you are and have a good time. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay warm. It is cold just about everywhere. We didn't hear from some of our stations that I'm worried about, like Greg S9 and a couple other stations that are down in the fire area. So if you're around there or listening, stay safe, do whatever they say to do, and then hopefully you can come back to your house that's still out there and continue on. The Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California saying 73, and we will catch you next week. And it's quiet tonight. Mooch, what's up, buddy? Uh, 356 BYU. I'm still sitting here. And I did get you proxied in, but I'm going to change it to an official X in the square. 4, and I'm trying to find your number here. You're 75, SWL 75, so that gives us another, how many SWLs did I say? It puts us up to 78. Just in the nick of time. We're still working here. Hey, Dwayne, glad to have you guys out here tonight. Too bad we didn't have any skip conditions. And thanks for reminding me what my thanks for reminding me what my handle is. It's been a while since I actually tried to talk, Skip, on 11 meters. Usually if the band is in, I'll go up to 10 or somewhere else, but missing all the fun. All right, good night to our stations listening at oldtuberadio.net. Watch the big tube. Watch the big 6L6. It'll be safe to touch it in a minute or two as it cools down. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And likewise on the video side.